If you're working on cars or restoring cars or bikes or anything else, there's going to be a moment in time that you want to polish up the parts that you took apart. Some pieces may be very big, and other pieces may be very small. And it's not easy to polish them in place. So that's why a polishing wheel would be more than welcome. And here it is, the PMS 250, very solidly built. This is a heavy piece of kit. It's 24 kilograms. And the motor is a pure induction type. So there's no brushes on it, so no maintenance on it. It is running on bearings, and you actually see that when you spin it around, it keeps rolling quite a bit, and you don't hear no noise. So that's really good. On both sides you have a protection, and if the wheels are turning, you can even touch this because you're not touching the axle. It's kind of a sleeve that goes around it. So that's for safety purposes. So while we are at it, it's important to notice this distance. The longer this distance, the better it is actually for a polisher, because you will have to polish the part at the bottom side of the wheel, but I'll come back to that in a minute. And this distance is quite all right. It makes it very handy, but you will have to place the polisher on a stand, not on a table like this, because you can't get your part underneath. The wheels are held in place with flanges, and there's two flanges, one on the outside and one on the inside, and with an M16 nut. According to the documentation, the motor develops 1.5 kilowatt, and it takes an input of 230 volts at 50 hertz, and it has a safety class of IP40. To start and stop the motor, you need to lift the lid here, and then you have the start and stop buttons, and once you close it, this is the safety stop. So let us turn it on and see what happens. It runs very smoothly, as you can see, with not a lot of vibrations. I haven't bolted down the machine, which I actually should. So if you're really going to use it, bolt it down or clamp it down, because you cannot leave it loose sitting on the table or a stand. And if something goes wrong, you can just press this button and it will stop. And the polisher comes with a 2-meter power cord of good quality. Now let's talk a little bit about the wheels. You can see that it comes with two wheels. We have a yellow wheel and we have a white wheel. The yellow wheel is the harder wheel. This is what we're going to use for cutting or pre-polishing, as we call it. And the white wheel is really to polish the piece at the end. So you're going to need some polishing paste, which doesn't come with it, but I assume you have that. But I'll show you that what I'm using when we're going to try it all out. Now the wheels are exchangeable, so you can take the wheels off, and to do so you need to remove these bolts on the side. But keep in mind that the bolt on the right, which is this one, if you stand in front of the wheel polisher, is having right thread on it. The wheel on the left is left threaded. So if you're going to disconnect it, keep that in mind, that you need to turn it in different directions to loosen that up. Now normally that goes very smoothly, but I'm going to show you on how you can now remove these wheels. So you're going to need a M24 socket. So you put it on one side, and you can hold the wheel either, and you can use another spanner or another sprocket or whatever you have on the other side, and just try to undo it, like so. And this was already quite loose, so this then just comes off. That's the nut. That's part of the clamp. And then the wheel just comes off. There we go. The other side might be a little bit more tricky, because now you have undone one bolt, but the other one might still be stuck. And as you can see, there is no mechanism to block the wheels to undo this side. And to keep the axle locked while you're trying to undo the other nut on the other side, use a piece of rubber like this. Put it around it, and then use your pliers to squeeze it into place. And that way you're not damaging this axle or the thread on this, and you can remove the other side very easily. And then you squeeze it, and then the other side you use another spanner or the same socket that you used before. But now remember, this is left threaded, and then undo that one. There we go. That's how simple that is. and then you can take all that off. The biggest wheel that you can fit on this is 250 millimeters with a central hole of 20 mil. The thickness is maximum 25 mil. You can fit smaller wheels on this, but keep in mind you have to respect the center hole of 20 mil. So let's put it back together and then we're going to go and test it. So first of all, put the flange up and pay attention to the direction of the flange. I'm going to put the wheel up. It doesn't matter which one you start, the white one or the yellow one, left or right, as long as you remember that the left-hand side of the machine is having left-threaded wires, so you need to turn it against your normal direction. So that's on. Now I'm going to have to tighten that up. Now that I'm going to do with a socket, but as you can see, you can't hold it. It keeps turning. The axle keeps turning. So on the other side, where I have no wheel on yet, I'm going to use my piece of rubber and my grips to hold the axle as much as I can and tighten up that one wheel first before I put the second one up. So I'm holding it now, and now I can lock this. Now don't tighten it too hard, but tighten it enough, because you don't want this to go running loose on you when you're polishing something. All right, and now we can do the other side exactly the same way. The flange, the wheel, a flange, and then the bolt. But then again, this bolt is now right threaded. And now I'm going to lock that in place. I'm going to try to hold it a bit on this wheel. See? That works. I can hold it, and you don't need to over tighten. There we go. And that's all set. Done. So now we are ready to test. But before we start polishing, there's a few more things I need to tell you. First of all, you're going to need some polishing paste. And I have 3 bars here, and that's something you need to order separately. The black one is the very heavy one. It's what we call the pre-polish. The middle one, kind of, I don't know, brownish, is what we call middle polish. So that's already polishing, but pretty rough still. And then the white one is the fine polish. So we're going to use the white one on the white wheel. We're going to use this kind of brownish one also on the white wheel. And the black one we're going to use on the yellow wheel. Now I'm only using 3. There's many more grades of this, and I'm not going to teach you on how to polish things, because that's not the intent. We're testing the kit. So one other thing is that don't spoil the wheels. In other words, do not use the very rough cutting paste on the white wheel, which is a soft wheel. Use that on the yellow wheel, which is a hard wheel. Or mix white and black together. That would be bad as well on the same wheel. So for the longevity of your wheels and for good results, try to keep that together a bit. So polish on the white wheel with white polish, which is fine polish paste, or this brownish one, this is mid polish paste, and on the yellow one you could use the black one, which is the rough cut as we call it, so, or the pre-polish. Now, after some time of use, your wheels are going to be saturated with polishing paste, but also with particles that came off the parts that you were polishing. So you will have to clean them. And the best way to clean them that I found out is to use some grit 36 or grit 40 sanding belt paper and hold it against the wheel like this. And let it rub on it. And it will rub off most of it and it will clean the wheels. Let's talk about one more thing, and it's about where should you polish on these wheels, because that's important. I have placed the polishing machine on the edge of my table, and the reason for that is that I need lots of space here to work, because I'm going to polish the piece right here. That's where I'm going to work it. Over there, you know, in all these areas, so I can move it back and forth a bit. And you can see this is a very big piece to work on, so I might not be able even to get there. And that's why you need to place it on the edge of your working table, because you should never be working on the top of the wheel. So I'm always trying to stay below this line of the wheel, because the wheel is turning this way, and if pieces are getting caught, especially small pieces, they're going to be thrown at you, and you don't want that to happen. If you do it on the bottom, then they get caught, they will be thrown away towards the backside and they can never hit you. So that's the reason why we call the safe zone on polishing wheels everything just below the middle line and downwards in the direction of the wheel which is moving away from you. So guys, we are about ready to start testing the polishing wheel. But make sure that you have it clamped down or bolted down on your workspace or your column. Now, I believe they do sell a column as well where this fits on. Now, I don't have it, so I clamped it down to my workbench here. And first of all, we're going to apply the putty to this yellow wheel. But before doing so, you gotta have to have a dust mask and a protective glasses or facial screen. Now, I like the facial screen because this stuff will throw up and you get all black in your face, believe me. So this is good to protect your face from getting black, or white, or purple, or green, or yellow, depending what kind of putty you're using. So let's put the putty up. You got to make sure it becomes a bit black, okay? Don't be afraid to put some stuff on the sides. You can see how it takes it off. All right. So now we can take the small piece and gently hold it against it. And this feels quite good. So now it's time for the bigger piece. I'm going to put some more cutting paste up. This is a fairly big piece to polish, so I really need to hold it very well. But now we can really test the polishing wheel, and it's quite powerful. You see, it starts to polish quite nicely. Now, of course, this is a big piece and it's a very rough piece as well. So, and this is really rough. So this is our pre-polish result. Not too bad. This is quite nice, actually. The other piece is a bit more rough still, but that's because it is a big piece and it's really uneven, so I need to clean that up now with soap and water, and then we try the fine polishing. But as you can see, the wheel is a bit spoiled now, so now we can clean the wheel up with this abrasive paper of a grit 36 or 40. Let me show you that. Just hold it against it at the bottom. And you can keep on using this abrasive paper. There's no need to throw it away. And now we can reuse it, see? The gloss is gone now, so it's again flexible. Before it was all clogged up. This piece turned out real nice after the pre-cut with the black paste. So I think I can go straight to the white paste on the white wheel with this. The other piece here is a bit more rough still, but the surface is really uneven. It cleaned up already nicely, but because it's so pitted, it is not really suitable for polishing, but I wanted to use it because it's going to cause a lot of resistance on the wheel, and you've seen it, that it was still holding up very well, the polishing wheel, even when I pushed it hard onto the wheel. And I pushed it so hard that I almost stopped the motor. Not something you should do, but I just wanted to try that. So let me finish up that one with the white putty on the white wheel. So we're going to apply the white putty now on the soft wheel. And let's try to clean this up. works quite well. Real well, actually. I'm going to try this side only on this big one. And again, this is rough material, right? And you can hear it immediately. I'm really pushing hard and I'm kind of holding down the machine. And once you're done, you can actually clean your wheel again with your abrasive paper of grit 36 or 40, and you're ready for the next run. So that looks good again. So overall, this machine works real well. It doesn't get warm at all. Let's see how warm the machine got while we were doing all this work. And it says 36 degrees centigrade. I don't know if you can see it, but that's what it says, 36 degrees centigrade. That's the temperature of the motor after we've been using it for about half an hour. So that's not too bad. This is good. And here is the result of using the SMD 250. It turned out to be real nice. Look at that, how nice that shine is. Even the big part turned out nice, and I skipped a lot of steps in polishing. I think it's a great tool. There's nothing wrong with it. It works perfectly. It spins up nicely. It stops nicely. It doesn't make a lot of noise, although where I had it set up, you could hear some noises, but that was not the wheel polisher. This was my bench that was making the noise. The wheels don't slip. They keep their shape pretty well. And as you can see, you can actually clean them yourself. And for the rest, I think this is a great tool to have. So I think this is a winner. You might have noticed that I pushed the big aluminum part, which is a very rough part and not a smooth surface at all, very hard against the wheels, and then you could hear the motor slowing down. If I would have pushed even more harder, I probably could have stalled the motor. But that, of course, is not the intent. You can always do this, especially with very rough material. So polishing is not about that. Polishing is about going in steps and taking the first rough stuff off in another way, even with sanding paper, if that is necessary. So yes, I like this tool.